This episode is sponsored by OpenText, the information company. We power and protect information. Our purpose is to elevate every person and every organization to gain the information advantage. OpenText works to power the ubiquitous information around us to elevate everyone. We strive to help customers simplify their systems with frictionless automation and equip them to thrive and grow in a digital world. The LoadRunner family is one of many solutions where OpenText can help. Did you know that LoadRunner has the largest community of load testing professionals in the world? Check out the QR code or go to their website at opentext.com to find out more about the LoadRunner family. Do you need unbreakable network connectivity? West Networks can help. They're a leading provider of PEP-Link-based SD-WAN solutions, and they can help you achieve unbreakable connectivity by utilizing PEP-Link's SpeedFusion bandwidth bonding technology. Since 2012, West Networks has been assisting those in the mobile health services space by providing communities with access to life-saving technology. They also work with mobile command field units like first responders and news agencies, delivering faster and reliable access to mission-critical information all the time. Whether you're an IT professional who needs to work from anywhere or a full-time vacationing traveler in the RV community, West Networks can help you stay connected all the time from anywhere. Large enterprises can save up to 83% off cost while expanding communications and reliability beyond a single carrier with West Networks PEP-Link-based SD-WAN solutions. They can help you replace expensive MPLS connections with SpeedFusion site-to-site unbreakable VPN technology. So no matter what your needs are, West Networks can help you achieve unbreakable connectivity. Contact them today to learn more. Okay, welcome to a special edition of the SMC Journal podcast. This is a show where we talk about software engineering, systems engineering, performance, observability, testing, tuning, security, AI, and anything else in between. Today, I have a very special guest with me. This is Alexander Podelko. Thank you for being on the podcast with me today. We have known each other for quite some time, and Alex has always been a proponent of load testing and performance in general. He's put out many articles. You've spoken at many conferences, educating people throughout decades now. So why don't you introduce yourself to our audience and how you are involved in performance today?
My name is Alex Podelko. I get specialized in performance in 1997. So working for different company, usually large one. I work for Intel, Oracle, MongoDB, and now I'm working as a senior performance engineer for Amazon Web Services, working on performance of Aurora service, database as service.
Awesome. These are some of the largest corporations out there, have a focus on performance and scalability. So you have managed some very complex systems over the years, making sure that they perform really well. So you've seen a lot, and I just wanted to ask you in general, what do you think about how things have changed since we started talking back in the day about performance testing, load testing? What's the biggest thing you've seen change over, say, the last just 3 to 5 years?
I think we see big change in performance engineering and performance testing, which basically adjusting to industry trends. As we see that everything moving to cloud, to agile development, performance engineering and performance testing need to adjust to it, and that is what we see right now. So looks like everybody started to talk about continuous performance engineering or performance testing again, which was non-existing few years ago. And now every corporation tries to invent their way how to do that.
And you know, I've seen that as well. And as we move to more and more complex systems, it's like everything has to be always on, always running, always doing something. So we have to have always testing, continuous monitoring, because we've got continuous deployments, continuous software building. So we have to keep up with all of that on the performance testing side as well. It's a huge change. It makes life a little more complicated for everybody, and we have to get through those complexities. one of the primary ways that we as engineers learn from each other, obviously we can read information on the internet, but a lot of times we learn a lot from conferences and people who are speaking like yourself, like, I've got this experience, I want to share it with you. This is how we did something, or these are the things we learned not to do. Don't do this, right? So what are some of the conferences that you personally like to go to and learn from?
That is a real challenge because we don't have any conference completely focused on performance engineering and covering all areas. For people who just learn trade, it is a little easier because many testing conferences have some tutorials and some presentation about performance testing that could help you get up to speed. But when you get up in your experience and you started to look at on advanced stuff, that become a bigger problem. CMG conferences, Computer Measurement Group, which still would be in February in Atlanta. Kind of was, last year it was rather small after COVID. Maybe we get a little bit more people.
Hope so.
Yeah. Interesting event which I presenting now. Test Istanbul do conference devoted completely to performance engineering, and they got at least a dozen of good speakers around the world. But when we get to some more advanced, that kind of problem I'm trying to solve right now, because when we get to continuous performance testing, we get new set of challenges. And some of them become more sophisticated and require maybe some new methods, new statistical method, maybe AI to get that. And here we probably need get more involved with academic community. And that get into another problem because there is a few academic conference devoted to performance or some topics around it. But many of them is probably too academic for industry professionals.
Academic doesn't have to mean boring, right? It just means it's different. It's a different, because you're not vendor driven. You're not necessarily, you don't necessarily have a sales pitch built into the presentation or an advertisement in this. There's no motivation other than passing on knowledge and learning, right? And so for some people, that doesn't have the bells and whistles that they like in maybe some conferences.
Yes. ICEP, International Conference on Performance Engineering, which has a little bit more practical aspect because it co-organized by ACM and Spec, Standard Performance Evaluation Corporation, which research group, which develop different benchmarks. So they get some scientists involved to kind of develop benchmark for new areas of performance. Last year, you talked with David Daly, who was industry track chair for that conference. And now I inherited his chair.
You're the track chair for 2024, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It would be May 5th, 11 in London. The difference is that we have this industry track. And idea is to help industry professionals to submitting paper, because actually academic paper is a little bit different game. And that is something that we want to get more professionals involved. If we get more, that we can generate new ideas, new advancement of performance engineering in general.
So let's talk about this conference, the ICPE conference that's happening in 2024. If somebody looks at this and they'll see on the screen as we're talking how to go there and check it out. Uh, what's a typical type of presentation that would be presented at this? And if somebody wants to go to this conference to experience it, what would be their experience? What should they expect from this conference?
Basically, you have probably 100 or more people involved in different area, industry or academia, usually in both, who working on leading edge of performance-related problems. So workshops, as I mentioned, one load testing and benchmarking. There is cloud performance workshop, performance in education workshop. There was workshop, for example, on performance continuum, because there is a lot of things happening on devices. Mm-hmm. So you have all this system, many tiers of the system, like user devices, some gateways collecting information, and the system processing it all. So it kind of a lot of interesting stuff. A lot, of course, going around artificial intelligence. Mm-hmm. So workshops are less formal, more practical, and the conference itself includes discussion about different papers. One of main things in conferences is networking. When you talk to people who is working on what, share your challenges, get some ideas how you could solve them.
I know a lot of times those are the times where I learn a lot from just afterwards. You're sitting outside and you're having these conversations and you find out that somebody actually did something that you're wanting to solve that problem. They've already done it and they're sharing that information with you one-on-one and showing how they did it. That's where I learn a lot of stuff. I want to go back and you mentioned CMG, and I've been to CMG Impact before. I know that's just one of the conferences that CMG has. CMG has been around for decades talking about performance back to the mainframe days. They still talk about some mainframe stuff. So I've been there and I've learned a lot. And people think, well, who would show up there? I mean, that's where Netflix goes and presents and shows how they do stuff at Netflix and how they came up with a lot of the stuff they come up with for performance there. That was one I remember from 2020 in Vegas. I remember you presenting there, and I stole a couple of your slides for my performance tour because it was so good. You mentioned the Connie Smith book and how the quote of how things were messed up. They're still the same way today. I thought that was cool. You mentioned International Conference on Performance Engineering and Spec. We'll definitely put the links and stuff for the show. But I also want to bring up one other one, which is the Performance Advisory Council, the PAC. They're having another one. They're having one in December of 2023. I think it's going to be somewhere around mid-December in Orlando, Florida this year. So
because that was great.
And that's where I think the conferences you've mentioned, the CMGs, the PACs, that's where I get to learn from my peers what's going on, what are you doing, and where do we take this next. So are there any other conferences that you personally can attest to that these are great places to learn from, whether it's performance-centric or not?
There was another great place, workshop on performance and reliability.
Whopper, yes.
Yeah. Again, it was not so often happening recently.
There are fewer and fewer places where you can go to just talk about performance specifically. But that kind of brings us to a bigger topic in that there isn't a lot of places that we can go. So we do have to do a better job of maybe keeping the performance community together, because it's not just about testing. There's monitoring and observability, and that's just as much of an emphasis on performance. Production performance, there's still the idea of resiliency now, right? People are talking about resiliency more than just performance, and performance being a characteristic of a resilient system. So there's more, I guess, responsibility now.
It is interesting that it get kind of still siloed. We're getting new silo, for example, FinOps, which kind of efficiency. They have their own conference, but what my problem with it is that it is too much skewed towards financial question, which also important. They could get some results, but without engineering, by my opinion, we have limited way how far you can go, because until you fix your program to make it efficient, whatever you do from financial side of view won't help.
So one it affects the other.
Yeah, it helps, say, cut off unused resources, find better, say, plan for virtual machine or whatever that also may save you a lot of money. But next step, you still need to go do some engineering, solve engineering challenges to improve efficiency.
So if you're watching the podcast today and you know of other conferences that we should be aware of, or if you want to share any information with us, we would love to hear from you. I am available on most social media out there. LinkedIn is primarily the one that I use, but we would love to hear your feedback on this and share it. We will share it back with the other people. I will make sure, Alex, that I put the link to ICPE. One more time, can you tell me again, like, what are the dates for people submitting papers, and when is the conference again?
So submitting papers some early November.
November 2023, so just a month from now.
Conference would be May
of 2024. I think it's May the 7th through the 11th, 2024. And it's in London. Yeah. So maybe I'll get overseas next year. I'm hoping to do that. So thanks again for being on the program today. Always good to talk to you, and we'd love to hear your feedback, and we will see you on the next SMC Journal podcast.